Is there any physical evidence on the seabed? Yes, there is. And we have some examples. Skeletons of humans, skeleton parts of horses and bulls, chariot wheels, and strange structures.
For thousands of years, the Bible has been a cornerstone of faith, history, and mystery. Its stories have inspired millions, but some have also sparked debate, with many questioning if these ancient accounts are purely symbolic, or if they could actually be based on real events. Today, we're uncovering 20 rare and astonishing photos that might just prove the Bible is right. From underwater chariot wheels found in the Red Sea, believed to be remnants of Pharaoh's army, to the haunting pillar of salt said to be Lot's wife, these images offer a fascinating glimpse into biblical history.
We are standing now where Jerusalem began, where everything started, outside the walls of the old city.
Each photo captures a moment frozen in time, revealing evidence that challenges skeptics and excites believers alike. Join us as we explore these incredible discoveries, blending archaeology, history, and mystery, and uncover the rare photos that bring the Bible's stories to life in ways you've never seen before. Let's dive in. 20. Pharaoh's chariot, wheels found in the Red Sea. One of the most captivating pictures supporting the biblical Exodus story is the reported discovery of ancient Egyptian chariot wheels submerged in the Red Sea near Nuweiba Beach. According to explorer Ron Wyatt, underwater investigations revealed coral-encrusted chariot wheels and other artifacts dating back over 3,500 years, consistent with the 18th dynasty era of Moses. These wheels, featuring 4, 6, and 8 spokes, were reportedly preserved by coral, offering physical evidence that Pharaoh's army pursued the Israelites into the sea, as described in Exodus 14. Video footage from recent explorations shows scattered chariot parts, horse bones, and human skeletons on the seabed, suggesting a large-scale ancient battle or disaster. Wyatt also claimed to have found an underwater land bridge, a natural causeway nearly 200 yards wide and plunging 900 feet deep, that could explain the biblical account of the parted waters. 19. Lot's wife. Near the southeastern shore of the Dead Sea, a striking natural formation known locally as the Pillar of Salt is believed by many to be the very figure of Lot's wife, who, according to Genesis 19:26, was turned into a pillar of salt for looking back at the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. This salt column rises about 700 feet high on Mount Sodom, a massive salt formation shaped over thousands of years by erosion and geological activity. Israeli researchers have also recently discovered the world's longest salt cave nearby, adding to the region's geological uniqueness. Historical accounts support this tradition. The first-century Jewish historian Josephus wrote that the pillar was visible in his time, lending credibility to the idea that this formation inspired the biblical story. While geologists explain the pillar as a natural result of salt deposits and possible seismic activity around 4,000 years ago, the alignment of the location, geological features, and ancient texts creates a compelling connection to the biblical narrative. However, explorations showcase the eerie, human-like silhouette of the pillar, reinforcing its symbolic power as a monument to disobedience and divine judgment. The pillar remains a powerful, tangible link to one of the Bible's most memorable stories. 18. Noah's Ark formation in Turkey. One of the most compelling images linked to biblical history is the Darupanar Formation on Mount Ararat in eastern Turkey, a 538-foot-long boat-shaped geological structure that closely matches the dimensions of Noah's Ark, which was one of the most famous biblical mysteries. In this story, the Ark is said to have come to rest on the mountains of Ararat after the Great Flood, as described in Genesis. Recent scientific investigations have revealed that soil and rock samples from this site contain marine deposits, clay-like materials, and fossilized seafood remnants, such as mollusks, suggesting that the formation was once submerged underwater during a massive flood approximately 3,500 to 5,000 years ago. These findings align intriguingly with the biblical timeline of Noah's flood. Advanced 3D ground-penetrating radar scans have detected parallel lines and right angles beneath the surface, features that are unexpected in natural rock formations, but consistent with a man-made vessel. Researchers from Turkish and American universities are collaborating on further soil analysis and conservation efforts, aiming to confirm human activity and possible wooden remains inside the formation. Although skeptics argue the site is a natural rock formation, the combination of geological, archaeological, and biblical data makes the Durupinar Formation one of the most fascinating candidates for Noah's Ark. Viral video footage and aerial images showcase the striking shape and surrounding terrain, fueling ongoing debate and curiosity about this rare photo that might prove the Bible's flood story is rooted in reality. 17. The Mount Sinai Mystery. One of the most iconic biblical locations is Mount Sinai, the mountain where Moses received the Ten Commandments. For centuries, tradition has placed it in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, near the monastery of St. Catherine. However, some explorers and researchers have proposed Jabal al-Lawz in northwest Saudi Arabia as the true Mount Sinai, sparking intense debate. Photos of Jabal al-Lawz reveal a blackened peak, which some interpret as evidence of the divine fire described in Exodus 19:18. Nearby, petroglyphs of bovines and remnants of a 12-pillar structure have been cited as signs linking the site to the Israelites' wilderness experience. A split rock formation near the mountain is also claimed to match the biblical Rock of Horeb that provided water for the people. Despite these intriguing images and claims, many scholars caution that there is no conclusive archaeological evidence supporting Jabal al-Lawz as Mount Sinai. Critics argue that some features date to later periods, such as Nabatean tombs and structures, and that traditional sites in the Sinai Peninsula remain more consistent with biblical geography and history. This ongoing mystery continues to captivate researchers, blending faith, archaeology, and exploration, making Jabal al-Lawz a compelling photo that feeds the debate about biblical truth. 16. The Walls of Jericho. The biblical account in Joshua 6 describes the miraculous collapse of Jericho's walls after the Israelites marched around the city for 7 days. Archaeological excavations have uncovered evidence that aligns remarkably with this story. Early digs by a German team between 1907 and 1909, John Garstang in the 1930s, and Kathleen Kenyon in the 1950s, revealed a massive stone retaining wall topped by mud brick walls that once fortified the city. Kenyon's careful stratigraphy showed the walls had indeed collapsed outward, consistent with the biblical description of the walls tumbling down. Further, there is evidence of massive destruction by fire, matching Joshua's account of the city being burned after the walls fell. The collapsed mud brick debris could have served as a ramp for the Israelites to enter the city, as described in the Bible. Although some debate the exact dating, many scholars, including Dr. Bryant Wood, affirm that the archaeological layers correspond to the biblical timeline of around 1400 BC. These findings provide rare physical evidence that supports the biblical narrative, making the photos of the walls of Jericho ones that may prove the Bible's historical accuracy. 15. Sodom and Gomorrah ruins. The ruins of Sodom and Gomorrah have long fascinated archaeologists and biblical scholars as potential real-world evidence supporting the Bible's account of divine destruction. These ancient cities, described in Genesis as being destroyed by fire and brimstone due to their wickedness, are believed to have been located near the Dead Sea in the Jordan Valley. Excavations at sites like Tal el-Hammam reveal a catastrophic destruction layer dated around 1750 to 1650 BCE, showing evidence of intense heat, collapsed buildings, and high concentrations of salt and sulfur, consistent with the biblical narrative. Some researchers propose that a cosmic airburst, similar to the Tunguska event, caused a massive explosion that obliterated the city, creating shockwaves and melting metals found in the ruins. This event could explain the sudden devastation described in Scripture, possibly inspiring the oral traditions that became the biblical story. While some scientific debates continue, the archaeological findings at Tal el-Hammam and nearby sites provide compelling, rare photographic and physical evidence that aligns closely with the biblical account of Sodom and Gomorrah's destruction. 14. The Pool of Siloam. The Pool of Siloam, rediscovered in 2004 near Jerusalem's City of David, is a remarkable archaeological find that strongly supports the biblical narrative. This large trapezoidal pool, about 225 feet wide, was used during the Second Temple period, the time of Jesus, as a ritual bath or mikveh for Jewish pilgrims preparing to enter the temple. Archaeologists Eli Shukron and Ronnie Reich uncovered stone steps leading into the pool, designed to accommodate fluctuating water levels, confirming its use for immersion and purification. The pool's significance is heightened by its mention in the Gospel of John, where Jesus heals a man born blind, by instructing him to wash in the Siloam pool, John 9:1-11. This miracle ties the site directly to biblical events, bridging archaeology and scripture. Coins and pottery found at the site date the pool's construction to the mid-1st century BC, aligning with the biblical timeline. 13. The Garden Tomb. One of the most compelling sites associated with Jesus' burial is the Garden Tomb in Jerusalem. This ancient rock-cut tomb, discovered in the 19th century, has long attracted Christian pilgrims seeking a tangible connection to the resurrection story. While some scholars debate its exact authenticity compared to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, recent archaeological findings have added weight to the biblical description of a garden near Jesus' burial place. Excavations beneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, led by Professor Francesca Romana Stassola from Sapienza University of Rome, uncovered remnants of a 2,000-year-old garden featuring olive trees and grapevines. This discovery directly echoes John 19 verses 41, which states, "Now in the place where he was crucified there was a garden, and in the garden a new tomb in which no one had yet been laid." The archaeobotanical analysis of soil samples confirms the presence of cultivated fields, providing physical evidence that aligns with the Gospel's account. Additional finds such as pottery, oil lamps, and ancient walls further support the historical context of the site. These discoveries bridge scripture and archaeology, strengthening the case that the Garden Tomb area corresponds to the biblical narrative. 12. The City of David. The City of David is widely recognized as the original core of ancient Jerusalem and a critical site for biblical archaeology. Recent excavations on its eastern slope have uncovered a rare ritual structure dating to the First Temple period, circa 9th to 8th century BCE, believed to have been used for worship before King Hezekiah's religious reforms centralized worship at the Temple Mount. This unique complex includes 8 rock-hewn rooms with installations such as an oil press, wine press, an altar with drainage channels, and a large standing stone, all pointing to ritual activity consistent with biblical descriptions. Archaeologist Eli Shukron, who led the excavation, suggests this site may have been part of the worship practices mentioned in the Bible before they were abolished to centralize worship in Jerusalem's temple. The discovery of Hebrew-inscribed jars, scarabs, and other artifacts in a nearby cave further anchors the site in the biblical era. The City of David also features monumental Iron Age structures, defensive walls, and the famous Siloam Tunnel, which aligns with biblical accounts of King Hezekiah's preparations for an Assyrian siege. Recent discoveries of a vast moat protecting the city add to the picture of a fortified, thriving biblical capital. 11. Mesha Stele. The Moabite stone, also known as the Mesha Stele, is one of the most significant archaeological finds that supports biblical history. Discovered in 1868 at Dibon, Jordan, this basalt slab stands over 3 feet tall and contains a 34-line inscription by King Mesha of Moab, dating back to around 840 BCE. The inscription recounts Mesha's rebellion against the Kingdom of Israel and his restoration of Moabite lands, paralleling the biblical account in 2 Kings 3:4-27. It is the longest Iron Age inscription found in the southern Levant and provides invaluable insight into the Moabite language and culture. The text mentions Chemosh, the Moabite god, whom Mesha credits for his victories, and includes one of the earliest extra-biblical references to the Israelite god Yahweh. Notably, the stele contains the earliest certain reference to the House of Omri, Israel's royal dynasty, confirming the Bible's historical framework. Despite being broken into fragments shortly after discovery, scholars reconstructed the stele using a papier-mâché impression taken before its destruction. It is now housed in the Louvre Museum in Paris. 10. The Pool of Bethesda. The Pool of Bethesda, located near Jerusalem's Sheep Gate, is famously known as the site where Jesus healed a man who had been paralyzed for 38 years in John 5:1-15. For centuries, its exact location was debated, but archaeological excavations in the 19th and 20th centuries have confirmed the existence of a large, 2-part pool complex matching the Gospel's description. Discovered by Conrad Schick and later excavated extensively, the site features 2 adjacent pools separated by a dam, surrounded by 5 covered colonnades or porticos, precisely as described in John 5:2. The southern pool's broad steps and landings indicate it functioned as a mikveh, a Jewish ritual bath, allowing many people to immerse simultaneously. The northern pool likely served as a reservoir, continually replenishing fresh water. This archaeological evidence supports the biblical narrative of a healing place where the sick and disabled gathered, waiting for the water to be stirred, believed to have healing powers. The discovery of nearby Roman and Byzantine structures, including a temple dedicated to healing gods, further contextualizes the site's significance. 9. The Tel Dan Stele. Discovered in 1993 during excavations at Tel Dan in northern Israel, the Tel Dan Stele is one of the most significant archaeological finds supporting the Bible's historical narrative. This 9th century BCE basalt stone fragment contains an Aramaic inscription by a king, believed to be Hazael of Aram, boasting of military victories over Israel and Judah. Crucially, it includes the earliest known extra-biblical reference to the House of David, confirming King David's existence as a historical figure and the founder of a royal dynasty. The inscription reads, in part, "I killed Jehoram son of Ahab, king of Israel, and I killed Ahaziah son of Jehoram, king of the house of David." This direct mention of David's dynasty is a watershed moment, validating biblical accounts that were once questioned by skeptics. The stele's discovery also aligns with biblical records of conflicts involving Israel and Aram, now modern Syria, during the 9th century BCE. 8. The Nazareth Inscription. The Nazareth inscription is a marble slab inscribed in Greek with an imperial edict from an unnamed Roman Caesar, dating to the first half of the 1st century AD. The decree orders capital punishment for anyone caught disturbing graves or tombs, reflecting Roman concerns about tomb desecration. Although the inscription makes no direct reference to Jesus, some scholars and Christian apologists have linked it to early Christian claims of Jesus' resurrection, interpreting it as a Roman response to reports of an empty tomb and rumors of resurrection. The tablet was acquired in 1878 from Nazareth, but its exact provenance is uncertain. Recent isotope analysis revealed the marble originated from the Greek island of Kos, casting doubt on its direct connection to Jesus or Galilee. Despite this, the inscription's timing, around 50 CE, coincides with the early spread of Christianity, making it a fascinating artifact in the context of New Testament history. 7. The Pilate Stone. The Pilate Stone is one of the most compelling archaeological discoveries that supports the historical existence of Pontius Pilate, the Roman prefect who famously presided over the trial of Jesus Christ. Unearthed in 1961 at Caesarea Maritima, the Roman administrative capital of Judea, this carved limestone block bears a partially preserved inscription that explicitly mentions Pilate's name and title, Prefect of Judea. The inscription is believed to be part of a dedication to the Emperor Tiberius, whom Pilate served under during his governorship from AD 26 to 36. This artifact is a significant one because it provides the only contemporary physical evidence of Pilate outside of biblical and historical texts by Josephus and Tacitus. The stone was discovered reused as a building block in the steps of a Roman theater, illustrating how ancient materials were repurposed over time. Today, the Pilate Stone is housed at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, where it continues to affirm the historical reality of a figure central to the Passion narrative. 6. The Pool of Gibeon. The Pool of Gibeon is a remarkable archaeological site that powerfully supports the biblical narrative, especially the events described in 2 Samuel 2:12-17. Located in the ancient city of Gibeon, identified with the modern village of El Jib in the West Bank, this large circular pool measures about 37 feet in diameter and was carved deep into limestone bedrock, with a sophisticated spiral staircase leading down to the water level, nearly 82 feet below. Excavated by archaeologist James B. Pritchard between 1956 and 1962, the site revealed not only the pool, but also 31 jar handles inscribed with the Hebrew name Gibeon, confirming its biblical identity. The pool's historical significance is heightened by its role as the battleground where Joab, David's commander, fought Abner, Saul's general, in a fierce contest described in the Bible. This battle, famously called the Field of Sharp Swords, marks a crucial moment in David's rise to power. The pool's engineering sophistication and its direct link to biblical events make it one of the top discoveries in biblical archaeology, offering tangible evidence that supports the Bible's historical accuracy. 5. The Altar at Tel Arad. The altar at Tel Arad offers remarkable, tangible evidence linking biblical worship practices to archaeological discoveries, making it a compelling photo to prove argument that the Bible is right. Located about 35 miles south of Jerusalem, Tel Arad was a fortified city in the Kingdom of Judah, with a well-preserved temple dating to roughly 760 to 715 BCE, contemporaneous with the first temple in Jerusalem. Excavations uncovered 2 limestone altars inside the temple's Holy of Holies, where chemical analyses revealed traces of burnt frankincense and, surprisingly, cannabis. This is the first known evidence of hallucinogenic substances used in ancient Judahite religious rituals, suggesting that altered states of consciousness played a role in worship. The altar's size and design closely match biblical descriptions, such as the altar's 5-square cubit measurement from Exodus 27, verse 1. The findings also align with the reigns of Kings Ahaz and Hezekiah, known from the Bible for religious reforms. 4. The Shroud of Turin. The Shroud of Turin is one of the most famous and controversial relics linked to the Bible, believed by many to be the burial cloth of Jesus Christ. This linen cloth bears the faint image of a man who appears to have suffered crucifixion wounds, matching the biblical description of Jesus' death. However, its authenticity has long been debated. In 1988, radiocarbon dating tests dated the shroud to between 1260 and 1390 CE, suggesting it was a medieval creation rather than a first-century relic. Despite this, many researchers argue that carbon dating was flawed, as the tested sample may have come from a repaired section added centuries later. Newer scientific methods, including X-ray dating, have suggested the shroud could be around 2,000 years old, aligning with the time of Jesus. The shroud remains a powerful symbol, with its mysterious image and contested history continuing to fascinate believers and skeptics alike. 3. The Ruins of Hazor. The ruins of Hazor stand as one of the most compelling archaeological confirmations of the Bible's historical narrative. Hazor was a major Canaanite city, described in Joshua 11 as the head of all those kingdoms, making it a strategic stronghold in northern Palestine. Excavations led by Yigael Yadin and others have uncovered extensive evidence of a violent destruction by fire, including collapsed walls, charred remains, and ash deposits, which align closely with the biblical account of Joshua's conquest around the 15th century BCE. Interestingly, archaeological layers reveal 2 distinct destructions, one attributed to Joshua's forces and another later one linked to the time of Judges, when Deborah and Barak defeated King Jabin of Hazor as shown in Judges chapter 4. This dual destruction supports the biblical chronology and shows the city's importance over the centuries. The evidence includes monumental buildings, fortifications, and cultic sites, all devastated by intense fire, matching the biblical description that Hazor was burned and its inhabitants struck down. 2. The House of Peter in Capernaum. The House of Peter in Capernaum is one of the most fascinating biblical archaeology discoveries, offering tangible evidence that may connect directly to Jesus and his closest disciple, Peter. Excavated beneath the remains of a 5th-century octagonal Byzantine church, archaeologists uncovered a simple 1st-century dwelling, modest in size but extraordinary in its historical significance. This house, typical of Roman period homes, had small rooms clustered around courtyards, with walls made of coarse stone and a roof of earth and straw. What makes this site exceptional is what happened after Jesus' time. Around 50 years post-resurrection, the main room was plastered from floor to ceiling, a rare feature then, and transformed from a residence into a communal gathering place, likely one of the earliest house churches where followers met to worship. Hundreds of inscriptions in Greek, Syriac, Hebrew, and Latin were scratched on the walls, many invoking Jesus' name and prayers, suggesting this site became a pilgrimage destination for early Christians. 1. The Ossuary of Caiaphas. The Ossuary of Caiaphas is one of the most compelling archaeological discoveries that supports the historical existence of the high priest Caiaphas, who, according to the New Testament, played a pivotal role in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus. Discovered in 1990 in a tomb near Jerusalem, this limestone burial box is ornately decorated with rosettes and floral motifs and bears the inscription, "Joseph, son of Caiaphas." Recent scientific analysis using advanced microscopy has confirmed the inscription's authenticity, ruling out forgery. This could mean that the Bible was right. Inside the ossuary were the bones of 6 individuals, including an elderly male believed to be Caiaphas himself, estimated to be about 60 years old at death. Another ossuary linked to the Caiaphas family was found with an inscription mentioning Miriam, daughter of Yeshua, son of Caiaphas, providing further evidence of this priestly lineage and their prominence in first-century Judea. As we've journeyed through these 20 rare photos, each image has offered a unique window into the ancient world, bridging faith, history, and mystery. Do these pictures really prove the Bible is right? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Thank you, and see you in our next video.